Good morning, everyone. We have breaking news. The head of the IRGC's intelligence operations, Major General Majid Kadhimi, has been killed. According to an Israeli source, a joint attack by Tremeiwa and Israel eliminated the de facto number 2 of the IRGC. He was one of the rare senior commanders who survived several Israeli and American attacks in the past year. He headed intelligence against allied forces in the region. This is happening as we follow the developments and the possible ceasefire agreement between Ederua and Iran. Yesterday I spoke with President Trump and he said that without an agreement this week you will see bridges and power plants falling all over the country. If there isn't a quick agreement, I'm considering blowing everything up and taking control of the oil. A Reuters report states that Pakistan worked overnight with Iran and EWA to draft an agreement to end hostilities in 2 stages, an immediate ceasefire followed by a more comprehensive agreement. Even with diplomacy, planes from Irpura Caimbrira and Israel continue attacking Iran as details emerge about the weekend rescue that saved an American crew member. Hundreds of special forces from Irpura Caimbrira are in southwestern Iran. Here is their province. It was an hours-long operation, but successful thanks to intelligence. President Netanyahu declared, "I spoke with President Trump and congratulated him on the decision and the perfect mission to rescue the pilot in enemy territory." The president thanked Israel for its help. "I am proud of our unprecedented cooperation on the battlefield and beyond, and may Israel be able to contribute to saving an American warrior." Meanwhile, the Iranians continue attacking Israel with ballistic missiles. Ballistic missiles were fired at night towards central Israel. Here you can see the consequences in the north of the country, in the city of Haifa. At the site of the direct impact of this missile, 2 people are missing. 2 died in the attack and 2 others may be under the rubble. There is a lot of kinetic activity throughout the region. The United States is preparing for the possibility, if there is no agreement, of a significant escalation here in the region. And President Trump has promised to attack Iran's energy and power infrastructure.
Guys, all of this is always an option. But, Trey, the breaking news you gave about that high-ranking Iranian official killed in a joint operation in an Israeli airstrike. How could his death affect these people? Possible negotiations to end this war that are currently underway.
Major General Majid Kadhimi was largely responsible for coordinating the intelligence of current Iranian operations targeting ZEP-4 forces and allies throughout the region. This includes the Gulf countries. He is currently considered the second most important figure in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And I was informed that, in fact, another officer was also specifically eliminated in the same attack. And it is the commander of special operations of the Quds Force, Ismail Ghani. Again, this shows how Israelis and Americans work together with their intelligence agencies, targeting members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard responsible for ongoing attacks to pressure the Iranian regime to negotiate a good faith agreement.
How many of these individuals need to die for Iran to realize they can't be replaced? Or the question remains, are all members of the IRGC really that replaceable? And across the entire Iranian regime, Trey, they think they can just keep going like this, indefinitely.
The Iranians have what's considered a mosaic defense, so they've prepared for the possibility of their officials being targeted. I was told that the intelligence chief has already been attacked and was constantly changing locations in a constant effort to escape these assassination attempts. The main point is that the Iranians can replace these officials, but at the lower levels of the hierarchy, they have much less experience, which makes it much harder for the Iranians to continue the fight. We know that they still have missiles and drones to attack Gulf countries, Zinaiwa forces, and Israel. But when you look at what's happening, you see a joint effort by EWA and Israel to target the Iranian leadership, decimate the military regime, and strike beyond the launch bases. Missiles and drones, as well as their production lines, preventing the manufacture of weapons against ex-Matoa forces and allies in the Middle East.
The death of the number 2 of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard is vital. Trey, thank you. Now, Alex Gray, former Chief of Staff of Trump's National Security Council. And Alex, of course, the big news is obviously this rescue mission to bring the aviator who was on Iranian soil for 30 hours to safety, and that happened over the weekend. Have you ever heard of a rescue mission like this?
No, Carly. It's really the greatest achievement of the American Armed Forces in search, rescue, and special operations, probably since World War II. It's an extraordinary achievement, and I really go back to the contrast with the last time we tried to carry out a major search, rescue, and special operations mission involving Iran, and that was in 1980. That was the famous Desert One tragedy under Jimmy Carter, when American special operators died after their helicopters crashed in the desert. And that goes back to the fact that leadership and resources are important. President Trump made tough decisions in this operation by sending these incredible men and women into high-risk situations, and he gave our men and women in uniform the resources they needed for success, unlike the Carter era. So, looking at these two operations, you can clearly see the difference that leadership makes in these extraordinary circumstances.
And I think it also helps to have an intelligence apparatus that's really focused on this kind of action and not on mothers in Catholic churches. In that sense, what fascinates me is the CIA's deception campaign involved in this rescue. Why did our intelligence outperform theirs, Alex?
You know, in recent years, going back to President Trump's first term and now under John Ratcliffe at the CIA in the second term, we've been rebuilding the CIA so that it goes back to being the organization most Americans expect it to be. Unfortunately, since the time of John Brennan during the Obama era and now under Biden, the CIA has become a politicized, underutilized, and poorly led bureaucracy too focused on DEI initiatives. It was more concerned with being an inclusive community than with ensuring the fulfillment of missions to project American power and use our capabilities abroad. All credit goes to Director Ratcliffe, President Trump, and the team for transforming the CIA into what most Americans believe it should be.
Right. Reuters is now reporting that Zawai and Iran have received a plan to end the war. This plan is being proposed by Pakistan, but if it goes into effect, it could take effect as early as today. This plan would reopen the Strait of Hormuz and take a two-step approach with an immediate ceasefire followed by a comprehensive agreement. How seriously should we or ought we take this?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, Carly. The president has been very clear in saying that he wants to see things resolved, but with the very clear caveat that the Iranians do indeed need to reopen the strait. The Iranians need to exercise proper judgment. The Iranians cannot continue with their actions to destabilize the region the way they have been doing lately. The president was clear about the United States' war objectives. We are getting close, militarily, to an unprecedented operational success. I think most Americans should root for the success of this agreement if Zemun and Wa do their part. It fulfills our war objectives, including reopening the straits, but again, the president has been very clear. If that doesn't materialize, he also has many options to further increase the level of pain imposed on the Iranian regime. So I think whether it happens today, in a few days, or in a week, the United States certainly has many options to force the regime back to the negotiating table.
And does one of those options include NATO's help? Apparently not. Former spokesperson Ari Fleischer warned on X, wars have unexpected consequences. As nations reveal themselves, NATO will never be the same again, and the weakness of Western Europe is the cause. So, Alex, what are the next steps for NATO?
Ari was spot on. I mean, even though I've always supported NATO, it has become in many ways basically the European arm of the United States. Think about the creation of think tanks. I mean, in a way, it really became the European arm of opposition to the Trump administration and American conservatives. They forgot what has strengthened the alliance since 1949 when it was founded, the fact that we work together as a transatlantic union for shared values. And what value would be greater than preventing Iran from destroying the region and projecting violence and ideological threat throughout the Middle East? But they let anti-Americanism and the anti-Trump syndrome overcome the shared transatlantic unity, and Ari is absolutely right. If we have European allies more interested in this kind of political stance than in projecting a shared vision for the world, this alliance won't last much longer.
That's why NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte will meet with President Trump this Wednesday to resolve this. Alex Gray, former Chief of Staff to Trump's NSA, thank you for your expertise. Thank you for coming.